Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important articles that appear in our today's newspaper. First of all, I'll let you know important topics of the day, and later on we are going to discuss each and every article from prelims, mains and as well as interview point of view. And at last I'll be giving you prelims practice questions based on today's current affairs case. And especially online students, please don't skip this video anyway. Please do watch until last so that you'll be getting lots of insights regarding current affairs. Okay. Now let us see the topics of the day. First one is global energy concerns mount as Iran hit ships. In our earlier class, we discussed that US attacked Iranian ship across the coast of Sri Lanka. So now again Iran started hitting of ships. Because of this, it led to increased global oil crisis across the world. And this topic is important from GS paper to under international relations. Next topic is motion to oust Lok Sabha Speaker rejected amid drama over Shah's comment on Rahul. So this article is talking about this resolution to remove the speaker had been rejected. Okay, and this topic is important from your GS paper to under polity. And next topic is Court upholds right to die for man in vegetative state. Already, if you can recall, we discussed about this topic earlier, and I said about what is euthanasia, passive euthanasia, active euthanasia, and I said this is also one of the interview question on that day. I don't know whether can you recall it or not. We discussed about this topic in the month of January. And this topic is important from your GS paper 2 under polity because now Supreme Court gave permission for this right to die for that man. And next topic is groups to prevent human wildlife conflict linked to elephant deaths. This article is talking about human wildlife conflict, especially related to how to control this elephant deaths. And this topic is important from GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. Next topic, it is about policy misstep. Already we discussed about this topic in yesterday's or before yesterday's class, but we are going to again dig deep into that topic. And next topic is a seismic decision. This article is talking about new earthquake zoning framework in our country, and this topic is important from your disaster management from GS paper 3. So all these are the topics that we are going to discuss in this class. Say this title, guys. Read out the title. Global energy concerns mount as Iran hits ship. Okay, see here the name of the ship, Mayuri Nare from Bangkok. So actually what Iran is doing is Iran is trying to attack the ships which are moving in that Strait of Hormuz region. Because of this, what is happening? Whatever the ships which are carrying this oil, which are under attack now. Because of this, across the world, especially countries which are dependent on this Gulf countries for oil, they are having this energy insecurity now. Okay, so this article is important from your GS paper 2 under international relations, and as well as it is important from your global economy from GS paper 3 from economy as well. Okay, now let us see here, guys. Now Iran is hitting ships. Because of this, it is having impact on global energy. So now you guys tell me what kind of measures we can take to overcome this situation. This article is entirely talking about oil crisis. Why there is oil crisis now? Because of West Asia instability. Till today we discussed that yes, India is getting affected because of this instability, oil, and as well as aeroplane related issues we discussed. We discussed about LNG yesterday in our yesterday's class, right? So now today's class, it is about global oil crisis. We are not talking about India only, but across the globe, different countries are going to be impacted by this West Asian instability. Now you guys tell me what are the measures that you will suggest. You know the story and you are listening to this story from last 10 to 15 days. Now you have to suggest some measures. What kind of measures you can suggest to overcome this problem of oil crisis, gas crisis, or like energy crisis, whatever it may be? One by one. Okay, temporary ceasefire. Okay, we can go for talks and we can go for temporary ceasefire so that the things will become normal. Okay, temporary ceasefire. Next. Other things. Come on, think. You can do it. Apart from diplomacy, what can be done? We can go for supply chain diversification, especially Southeast Asian countries who depend on this West Asia. They can move that side and they can get this oil from Russia, right? So we can go for supply chain diversification. Next. We can go towards this oil. Crude oil is a fossil fuel, right? What is the alternate we have? We can go for renewable energy. We have to increase renewable energy resources in our country. And next one here is, we can suggest the countries to maintain strategic reserves in large quantities so that this kind of things will not be affecting for the at least for some temporary period. Next. Crude oil is used where? Especially in transportation purpose, we need for that, right? So we can go for promotion of electric vehicles. For example, we have electric trucks, electric buses, and even we are going for electrification of our trains. And we have two-wheelers which are running on this electricity, right? So in the same way, we can go for maximization of electric vehicles in the countries. Next. Whatever the trade routes we have, especially sea lanes, we have to protect them. Sea lanes, we have to protect them by having more control in this area so that we can stop this kind of disruption that happened in the Strait of Hormuz now. Okay, so these are the things that you have to remember from this article. Nothing more than that. And again, you have to say about the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is very important because around 20% of global oil and LNG trade is happening in this region, and in this region only this kind of instability is going on, and Iran started attacking different vessels and ships in this area. Okay, that's it guys, nothing more than that. So here you have to see why Iran is targeting ships and energy infrastructure. Here is, first one is, it is a direct response to US Israeli airstrikes on Iran. It is doing some retaliation. That is the first reason that you all know. And next one is, they want to control the strait, and Iran declared that no ship may transit Persian Gulf without permission of Iran. And Iran also said that even we will not allow a single liter of oil to cross this. This is the second reason they want to show its power in this region. And next one here is, Iran is also using drones, missiles, fast boats, and it is also threatening the mining, and even it is disrupting all these naval confrontations, etc. here. So here it wants to increase its own exports of oil now. So these are the three major reasons why Iran is attacking the ships in this area. So what is the impact? The first one here is, shipping disruption can happen. So other countries will be getting fear to go in this area, because obviously if that ships are under attack means it will cause us huge losses. And next one here is, oil or LNG, that is liquefied natural gas supply shock can happen, and you know we are also facing that shock now. And next one is, increased prices of Brent crude oil. And next one here is, it will also lead to damage of infrastructure because of these attacks of ships. And next one here is, especially Asia is getting hit the most. Why? Because we are getting most of our oil from this Hormuz. And in earlier classes we discussed about China is getting around 90% of its oil from Iran. So it is getting more impacted. And next one here is, Europe will also face gas crisis. And next one is, there will be higher freight cost. If we want to get from US or other countries, obviously the transportation cost will be increased, and as well as time taken for traveling will be also increased. And obviously supply chain disruption can happen in future. In our economy we can face inflation. So these are the impacts, and I already said what kind of measures we can take to overcome this situation. Okay. Say this article, guys. Motion to oust. Oust is nothing but remove. Motion to oust LS, that is Lok Sabha Speaker, rejected. In yesterday's class, we discussed in detail about constitutional provisions or articles related to speaker, and we discussed about how can we remove the speaker, what is the procedure. Do this procedure is present in our Indian constitution or not? Then where it is written? It is written in rules of Lok Sabha. And we discussed about what exactly the procedure we have to follow and what is the majority. And we discussed about what is the role of speaker whenever this resolution is taken by the house. And we discussed about the history also. Till today, 3 times the resolution came in the news, but till today not even a single speaker had been removed. And the same way this speaker is also not going to be removed now. But this speaker is very important from your prelims. Just revise the facts that we discussed in our yesterday's class. That's it. See this article, guys. Supreme Court upholds right to die for man in vegetative state. So what is the key word here? First one is right to die, and second keyword is vegetative state. We discussed about this topic in the month of January. So why we discussed in the month of January? So the parents of this guy approached Supreme Court for giving of permission. And now why it is in news again? Supreme Court gave permission for right to die. Because of this it is in news. And here you may get a question related to euthanasia. Very, very important topic. And this euthanasia is important from ethics point of view, also from GS paper 2 under polity as well. Okay, so now let us see the story. So this man name is Harish. Okay, he's around 32-year-old. So because of some incident, I can't recall that incident, but after that he went into vegetative state, and his both hands and legs are under paralysis. So even he is not able to talk. He is completely on vegetative state from how many years? 13 years, I guess. From last 13 years onwards, he is on that bedridden only. Okay, earlier parents of this person approached Supreme Court, and Supreme Court already gave permission for euthanasia, that is passive euthanasia. Okay, first of all, I want to tell this. Okay, this man is around 32 years old. Because of some incident, I think he fall down, or else I think he met with an accident. I'm not having that clarity, but some incident happened. Because of that, he went into vegetative state where he can't move, he can't talk, nothing. He will be like completely bedridden, and he is in that stage from past 13 years onwards. Later on, the parents of this person went to Supreme Court, and they said that my son is in this vegetative state, we can't see that person in that stage, and let him die. Let him die so that he will be ending his sufferings. With that suffering, how many days he can survive? So here, because of that, they went to Supreme Court and they asked permission for euthanasia. In this euthanasia is nothing but mercy killing. Another name of euthanasia is mercy killing. In this euthanasia, we have 2 types of euthanasia. One is active euthanasia, and second one is passive euthanasia. Active euthanasia is nothing but to kill a person, we will inject some chemicals into the body. That is called as actively. We are giving some poison, or we are giving some drugs which can end the life. That is called as active euthanasia. And passive euthanasia is nothing but if this person is on that vegetative state, he needs some support like oxygen, he needs some liquid support, like always the lines will be going on like that. So we will be removing that kind of treatment, we'll stop the treatment. So ultimately what happened, that person will be dying if you are not providing that support. So here in this PASO, we will be just stopping the treatment. Okay, and whenever these parents went to the Supreme Court, they allowed for this passive euthanasia earlier itself. But the issue is, they said that they can stop only treatment. They can stop only treatment, but that person is having hydration and assisted nutrition. That means nothing but the parents. Do you know, if the patient is on vegetative state, sometimes we have to feed them and we have to give some water, everything, right? So this person is not completely on salines. This person is having this clinically assisted nutrition and hydration. That means parents are giving food on time, either in the liquid way or solid, like that, and they are also providing hydration. So Supreme Court earlier allowed only to stop the treatment, but Supreme Court did not allow to stop this providing of food and as well as water earlier. But now Supreme Court gave that permission for even removal, stopping of giving food, that is nothing but nutrition and hydration now. So because of this, it is in news. Clear? So here exactly you have to know what is active euthanasia, what is passive euthanasia, and what is the procedure we have to follow for this passive euthanasia. And in India, only this passive euthanasia is allowed, but this active euthanasia is not allowed in India. On this also UPSC can ask you a question. So why Supreme Court allowed this euthanasia? Why Supreme Court is allowing this mercy killing is Article 21. So what is Article 21? Article 21 talks about right to life and personal liberty. And in this Article 21, Supreme Court said that right to die with dignity is also part of 21. So because of this, Supreme Court gave now permission for passive euthanasia of this 32 years person. Clear? Okay, now let us see this in detail. So how we can get a question is, consider the following statements regarding euthanasia. In that they will be giving you the mix of active euthanasia related things, passive euthanasia related things, and they may ask you like identify the correct or incorrect statements. That is the first possible question. Second possible question is, recently Supreme Court gave permission for passive euthanasia, which is under which article? Article 19, Article 20, 21, 22, like that they'll give you. That is a part of Article 21. So in that way, two types of questions you can expect. And many a times UPSC asked question related to Article 21, many a times, and repeatedly it is coming. So this is in news now in this year. So because of this, again you can expect a question related to right to die comes under which of the following article. Okay. Now let us see the context. Context you already know. Supreme Court upheld, said okay for right to die with dignity of 32-year-old, his name is Harish Rana, who has been in this persistent vegetative state for nearly 13 years. And earlier already allowed by the Supreme Court related to stopping of treatment, and now Supreme Court allowed to withdraw clinically assisted nutrition and hydration. Very important. Clinically assisted nutrition and hydration. So this is the point UPSC can focus now in the statements of passive euthanasia. Now passive euthanasia includes stopping of treatment and also stopping of giving nutrition and hydration. Okay, so those are the things. Earlier only passive euthanasia includes stopping of treatment only, but now stopping of treatment, along with this we can stop giving of food and as well as water. Okay, now let us see euthanasia. Euthanasia means nothing but mercy killing. It refers to deliberate act of ending the life of a person who is suffering from, not for all, only for the people who are suffering from incurable disease. Incurable disease or irreversible condition. Why? To relieve them from pain and as well as suffering. How long they can live under that situation, how long they can suffer the pain. We have to relieve them from the pain. So because of this, we came up with this concept of euthanasia. And we have two types, active and next one is passive. Active is nothing but we are directly causing the death of a patient through deliberate medical intervention, like giving of some poison or giving of some medicine, so that we are ending that life. We are injecting something into their body. That is called as active, and this active is illegal in India, and we are not permitting this active euthanasia in India. Very, very important point. In other countries, they are also allowing this active euthanasia, but India, it is illegal. And next one is passive euthanasia. Passive euthanasia is nothing but we are withdrawing, it is nothing but stopping or withholding of life-sustaining medical treatment like ventilators. Many people will be there on ventilators, especially the people who are in coma. We don't know when they will come out of this coma. We have to wait for years. For that time, we have to give salines for sure, and we have to give this oxygen or ventilation support. So we are going to withdraw that. And next one is artificial nutrition now, and as well as medical support. Okay, so because of this, what happens? They will die naturally because of the support system is not available now. And next one is this passive euthanasia is legally permitted in India under strict safeguards laid down by the Supreme Court of India. So if you take the permission from Supreme Court of India, then only you can go for passive euthanasia. So it is not by this High Court or District Court. So you have to remember that for sure. And what is the procedure we have to follow? First one here is we should not misuse this passive euthanasia. First important one, it is mainly said by Supreme Court in a case called as Common Cause 2018 case. And after that case, only Supreme Court came up with giving of certain guidelines related to passive euthanasia in India. So under that guidelines, first one is we have to go for formation of two medical boards. One is primary medical board, which should be there in the hospital where that person is treating, and they have to say about the condition of that patient. And second board is called as secondary board. Secondary board will be formed with external experts, and both of these boards has to examine the patient condition and as well as reports, medical reports, everything. And if recovery is not possible, if they say that clearly in the written format, then we can proceed for this passive euthanasia. It is not that much easy. Two boards we have to establish, and they have to give reports by seeing the patient condition, which is present condition, as well as by analyzing the medical reports. And next one is the decision to withdraw the life support requires the consent of patient family. After once these two boards finalize the things, again we have to tell that to the patient's family, and patient's family consent is very important. If that patient is not having any parents, means we have to take the consent of legal guardians of that patient, and they have to decide. And next one here is High Court approval for judicial magistrate intimidation was required first, and later on we have to take permission from this Supreme Court. And once it is approved by the Supreme Court, then the patient can be admitted to a palliative care facility where the life support can be withdrawn. So from ICU, we have to bring them to the normal ward. Okay, there we can stop giving this life-threatening support system. And we have to ensure dignity and comfort in that palliative care unit as well. And all decisions and the board reports must be properly documented so that we can prevent further misuse. So this is the process of passive euthanasia in India. Okay, see this next article, guys. Groups to prevent human-wildlife conflict linked to elephant deaths. So this article is talking about especially human-elephant conflict in our country. So tell me how many elephants are there in India, rough estimate. Number. I'm asking about number. Number of elephants in India. So normally in elephants we have two types. One is African elephants, one is Asian elephants. Do you know this? African elephants and Asian elephants. What is the difference between these Asian and African elephants? Large ears. Okay. Asian elephants are having small ears. Next. Hair difference. Okay, next. African elephants and Indian elephants. Size. Tusk. Very good. Tusk is big in which elephants? African elephants. And next, any other differences? Color. They are white, purple color, red color, no, right? Next. Tell me differences. It is very important. On this difference also you may get a question. Who knows? Okay, in which state in India we have a huge population of elephants? Second state. Uh, so your work today is try to find out the details related to elephant. And elephant is one of the repeated theme of UPSC. Many a times UPSC asked question. What you have to see is you have to note down difference between Asian and African elephants. Asian and African elephants. And next one is number of elephants in India. Next one is states. States that to increasing order. Which state is having huge highest number, second state, third state, like that. And you have to know about Project Elephant. Have you heard about this Project Elephant? Is it a central sector scheme or centrally sponsored scheme? Very good. It is central sector or centrally sponsored elephant, environment is done, right? Project Elephant is central sector or centrally sponsored scheme. Hey, Srimant. Govind. I am repeatedly saying to revise environment notes, no? Sector, check once. It is not. And next you have to see about the details of this Project Elephant, whether it is success or a failure. Okay, you have to work on these areas. Because UPSC asked many a times question related to elephant. And you have to say about elephant reserves also. Okay. So now let us see this article. So if you see this image, what can you see is elephants are coming into human habitations, and especially elephants are causing huge losses for the farmers. So because of this, what happens? There will be conflict which is happening between humans and these elephants. In that conflict, what is happening? Sometimes elephants are dying, sometimes humans are also dying. So here this article is saying that we are creating certain groups to prevent human-animal conflict which is linked to this elephants. Okay. So now you guys tell me what kind of technology we can use to control human-animal conflict in India. Yes, B, Project B already approved in which state? In state of Assam, they came up with this Project B. Why this Project B? So whatever the sound which makes by this bee, which is called as buzzing sound, elephants will be getting fear of that sound. Why elephants will get fear? Why? Elephant is very big, bee is very small. Why elephant is afraid of bee? What is the reason, do you think? What is the reason? Why elephant is of fear of with this bee? The reason here is this bee sting is like very painful, and if this sting happens on the trunk, especially these bees will go inside this trunk and they will sting inside the trunk. That will be like very painful, and recovery will take lot of time, and sometimes it will also cause infections inside the trunks of elephants. So because of this, they are having fear of this small bee. That is a major reason, especially if they bite in the trunk. Okay, next. Yeah? Yes, Kavach. Okay, Kavach is for trains, no. Kavach system is for trains to prevent accidents. Next. Other thing. Come on, think. Recently we discussed about AP. Okay, what are the trained elephants called as? Especially we are getting these trained elephants from state of Karnataka. Kumki elephants. It is not Kavach, it is Kumki. Okay, next. Come on, think. And we discussed about radio collars. They should be kept to this neck of this elephants, and we can track the things. Okay, next. We can use AI and we can give alerts for the people regarding the movement of elephants. Next. Recently, AP came up with one innovation. What is that? I said in the class also. AP government, did we discuss or not to reduce this human-animal conflicts? AP government, AP guys. Yes, Operation Hanuman to decrease human-animal conflict. Very good memory, guys. Next. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. This article is saying that India is home to around 30,000 wild Asian elephants, and India is having the largest global population of elephants. And around 100 elephants they die every year because of poaching for ivory, poisoning, electrocution, train collisions. And not only that, if 100 elephants are dying, around 500 humans are dying in this conflicts. So because of this, we have to take certain steps to control this human-animal conflict. Okay. So here, why this conflict is happening here is because of increasing of human population. What is happening? We are going for developmental activities. We are going for expansion of agriculture by the name of food security, everything, and we are encroaching these places of animals. Because of that, what is happening here? There is decreasing of habitat of these elephants, and these elephants they are not getting proper food, proper everything in that area, and they are coming outside, and that is the one important cause for human animal conflict. And next one here is mostly elephants they are herbivores, they are not carnivores, they are not omnivores, they will eat only grass and grass related things. Yeah, sugarcane is also a grass related plant. Okay, so here if you see, these elephants they raid crops and houses in search of food because of losing of their foraging grounds. Earlier where they used to get food, now they are not getting food in that area. So now they are entering into these human houses, crops, etc. So what happens here? To protect the crops, what we are doing, we are arranging electric fences. You know these electric fences, especially to stop this attack by this wild boars. Wild boar, you know, adipandi. So especially wild boars, elephants, and some other animals. We are keeping electric fences, especially during night times. So because of this, what happens if these elephants are coming and touching that electric wire? They will be getting electric shock and they'll die. And next one is speed trains. Trains are moving at a very high speed. So whenever this railways, if you are arranging at this areas in this elephant corridors, what happens? Whenever this elephant moves, what happens? They will come and they will hit. So because of this, elephants are losing their life. And next one is poisoning. Poisoning will also happen for this elephants. So because of this, what happened? There is a loss of life of elephants. And in this Assam region, interstate movement will happen across this Brahmaputra or Barak Valley and Barail Hills. So at that, in that area, elephants they are entering into these villages and as well as tea estates. So because of this, what is happening here? Human animal conflicts are increasing in this Assam region. And this one is electric fences, as I said. And next one is whenever we are coming up with any developmental projects, new infrastructure projects, obviously what happens? That will reduce the size of habitat. So because of all these reasons, human animal conflict is increasing day by day. Okay, so what kind of groups or initiatives that we are coming up with is, first one is community guarding groups. Villagers they will form the local teams and they will maintain round the clock watches, and they will operate certain warning systems like trip alarms, sensory alerts, so that they will give alerts to the residents in that area. So community people itself, they will form the group and they will be trying to have 24 by 7 surveillance in that area. That is called as community guarding groups. And next one is Hathi Mitra initiative. It is nothing but a volunteer groups. They will be monitoring elephant movements in the real time, and they alert railways and authorities. Okay, so this kind of groups are there around this Deepore Bill. It is one of the Ramsar wetland which is present in Assam. And next one here is we have community based non-lethal barriers like solar powered fences they are going with now rather than electric fences. And this one is we have natural barriers like lemon trees, because elephants they avoid thorny plants which are planted around this paddy fields and as well as sugarcane fields. Next one is beehive fencing. Elephant they have fear of bees. So here if you are having this beehive fencing around this fields, it can also protect the crops. And next one is at the state level we are using certain technology, like we are arranging radio collars, we can use drones, and also AI based warning system which came up by this AP now, that is called as Hanuman project. And next one is we can go for identifying the hotspots where we have this kind of human animal conflicts. In that areas only we can focus so that we can minimize the cost. Okay, so these are the things that you have to remember. And if you're getting any question related to this human animal conflict, there you have to include all these points. That will be very, very important. Okay, now let us see the next article. See here. Policy missteps. India has allowed panic over fuel availability to spread. So this article is talking about LPG shortage in India. And most of our today's articles are on this topic only, LPG shortage. In our yesterday's class, we clearly discussed, and in yesterday's class, I gave you work also, like you have to collect the data regarding LPG exporting countries, LPG producing countries, India is getting LPG from which area, so everything. And in yesterday's class, we discussed about what are the government measures to overcome the situation. So first government measure here is we are also getting this LPG not only from this West Asia now, from this Norway and as well as US also we are going to get this LPG. And second one here is our government of India ordered this oil refineries to increase production of LPG. Second step. And this one is whatever the propane and butane that we use, we have to use it for LPG production. And this one is this gas will be used for commercial purpose and household purpose. So we have to give priority for this household purpose rather than commercial purpose. And next one here is to prevent the misuse. Now we will book the cylinders, right, in our home. So now the time increased to 25 days to book the cylinders. Okay, so these are the steps. And even government invoked Essential Commodities Act of 1955, and it said that there should be no black marketing and hoarding of gas cylinders. Okay, so these are the 6 important steps taken by the government to overcome the situation. And you have to think about what are the other extra measures we can take to control this situation, to come out of the situation. So you have to think regarding the measures. Okay, yeah, say this next article, guys. A seismic decision, India needs a holistic implementable earthquake zoning framework. Okay, so if you want to understand this article, you have to go back to November 2025, because the background of this article there in that month, and now this article is talking about what challenges we are facing. Okay, now I'll let you know everything in detail. In November month 2025, we came up with new framework for earthquake zone mapping. So how many zones we have? 4 zones of earthquake. Okay, first tell me what is the meaning of earthquake? Sudden movement of earth's surface which releases energy, and this energy is released in the form of waves. They are called as seismic waves. Okay, this is called as earthquake. And in this earthquake waves, how many types of waves we have? Okay, we have body waves and we have surface waves. In this body we have 2, P wave and S wave. P means primary, S is secondary, and they are present inside the earth. And on the surface of the earth we have 2 waves. What are they? L wave and Rayleigh wave. L is love wave, next one is R is Rayleigh wave. So these surface waves, they are responsible for destruction of buildings on the surface, because these waves are there on this surface of the earth. Okay, so why these earthquakes occur? What is the major reason of this earthquake? Because of, if you go back to geography, I think you might have heard about plates movement. It is called as plate tectonics. To understand what is this plate, again you have to know about earth. If you are cutting this earth longitudinally, inside we have core, we have mantle, we have crust. These are the 3 important parts of our earth. Outer layer is crust, middle layer is mantle, and inner layer is core. And again, this crust part and upper mantle part is called as lithosphere. This lithosphere is called as your plate, and this plate will be moving on this magma. So what is happening here is these lithospheric plates, they will be moving. So because of this movement of this plate, they will cause this earthquake. Especially why India is vulnerable to earthquake is we have Indo-Australian plate. This is moving towards northwards, and finally it hit at this Eurasian plate. Okay, and even today also our Indian plate is moving towards northwards. So because of this instability, because of this movement of this plate, this entirely northern part and this Kutch part is very vulnerable to this earthquakes. So because of this India is vulnerable towards earthquake, we came up with dividing of areas where we have high intense earthquake, where we have low intense earthquake, where we have stable area. So that is called as earthquake mapping, earthquake zone mapping. Are you understanding? So before this November 2025, we had like 4 zones: zone 2, zone 3, zone 4 and zone 5. Zone 5 is very high intensity area where we have earthquakes frequently, especially this Himalayan region, this Gujarat Kutch region will comes under this zone 5. Okay, so now in the month of November we came up with this new zone mapping by BIS. Please make a note. In November 2025, BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, in 2025 November, Bureau of Indian Standards came up with revision of Bureau of Indian Standards came up with revision of India's earthquake zoning. India's earthquake zoning. And now the present article is talking about challenges in that zoning, or like disadvantages in that zoning. So first of all, you have to know what is this BIS, new earthquake zoning, and later on we'll come back what is this article talking about. Okay, if you see this article, India has released a radically updated seismic zonation map under the revised earthquake design code, and it is placing that entire Himalayan arc in newly created highest risk zone 6. So earlier we have only 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this new zonation kept this entire Himalayan arc. Himalayan arc is nothing but this entire this region under this zone 6 now. Okay, because it is having highest risk of earthquakes in India because of this movement of Indo-Australian plate towards northwards. Okay, if you see about this seismic zonation map, it is nothing but it is classifying the different regions of India based on their earthquake hazard potential. So which will help to determine how strong structures they have to be made or they have to be built to withstand our earthquakes. Why they kept this Himalayan in the 6th zone? The main reason is in this Himalayas we have perennial rivers, especially we have Ganga river system, Brahmaputra river system, and as well as Indus river system. On this Ganga river system we have important pilgrimage centers, and we are developing different tourist sites there. For example, Chardham project, and even we are constructing our hydroelectric power projects on these rivers, because if we want to generate this hydroelectricity, we have to ensure the movement of water should be there throughout the year, so that we can enhance the most potential, we can get more potential there. So if you go to the south, we do not have this perennial rivers, we have seasonal rivers, right? So if we are building this kind of hydroelectric projects on the seasonal rivers, only when the time we are getting the rainfall, then that time only we can produce this electricity. But it is not that case with this Himalayan rivers. So because of this, if this region is very highly unstable, whatever the projects we are constructing there will be not sustainable. So because of this, we created another zone, and in this zone now we are going to come up with the very strict guidelines, so that whatever the construction that we are going to come up in that area, so it has to withstand the earthquake, so that we can protect our investments, our infrastructure in this area. Because of that reason, They kept this Himalayan region under this new zone or new zone. Okay. So if you see about this new zonation map, which mainly published by BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, under, please make a note, under Earthquake Design Code 2025. Please make a note, under Earthquake Design Code 2025. Okay, and this new zonation map is using internationally accepted probabilistic seismic hazard assessment, PSH. It is focusing on probabilistic seismic hazard assessment. And now if you see the key features, the first one is we are creating a separate zone for Himalayan region, that is zone 6. Okay, and it recognizes consistent extreme tectonic stress along this Indo-Eurasian plate. So because of this, they kept this under separate zone now. And next one is under this zonation, they said that 60% of India now is in risk of moderate to high hazard zones. And next one here is, if there is any town which is having the risk of getting this earthquakes, if that town is present on the border, it means it is upgraded as high risk zone, because we don't have a clarity like this side area or this side area will be taking steps for controlling of that. So that kind of border towns are now comes under this high risk zone. That is a one more important point they said here. And they said that we have to go for mandatory structural and as well as non-structural safety. Like if we want to construct any tanks or any ceilings or any buildings, we have to estimate the weight of that, and we have to see whether that weight is probable or like sustainable in that area or not. So like that we have to estimate the weight. Till now we didn't estimated weight for this kind of buildings or ceilings or tanks or anything, but now they said that we have to go for mandatory weight assessment. Okay, and next one here is buildings near active faults must withstand pulse-like ground motions typical for near fault quakes. So actually, do you know nowadays we are going for using of suspension for this buildings also. Why? Because especially if we want to go for construction of these buildings in this area where we have active fault lines, whenever these waves are coming like surface waves, they should withstand this kind of waves and they should not fall down. For that they are going for suspension. So type suspension for buildings and you will be getting lots of videos, so you can understand what is that. So this suspension for the buildings is also mandatory now, especially if you want to construct them in these areas where we have active fault lines. Okay, that is the thing is. And this article is saying that this methodology itself a challenge, because whatever the engineers and as well as agencies, they are saying that this kind of international things are too high, and even we cannot go for building of that kind of things in India, because our engineers are not having updated knowledge regarding to this PSHA hazard guidelines. Because of this, it is difficult for implementation in India. And this one here is, if you want to construct that kind of suspensions, if you want to go for estimation, so if the weight is more means we have to use another materials, right? So that thing will become massive cost, and even we are having execution fears in our country. That is the thing which mainly said by Metro Rail. So Metro Rail said that if you want to decrease the weight and if you want to do some alternatives for weight reduction, so the cost will be increased by 10 to 15%. That is the thing which mainly said by Metro Rail system. And next one here is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and Ministry of Home Affairs and even Center Water Commission, National Dam Safety Authority, Metro Rail corporations, and even some private real estate developers, they are saying that it is not acceptable. They are saying that we cannot do this, because obviously that will increase cost on them, that will increase burden on them, the profits will be decreased for them. So because of this, they are flagging concerns now in India to implement these rules. And next one here is, even if you want to go for building of informal houses, like whatever the houses that we are building, and if you want to upgrade them with this kind of technology, even normal people are saying that the cost will be increased by 80%. 80% of homes, they are not affordable for this kind of technology in India. So because of this article is saying that yes, we came up with a good thing, but it is not feasible with India right now. In future it may happen, but it is not possible now. That is the thing which mainly said in this article. Clear? Okay, what is significance? If you are following all these guidelines, for sure we can improve our earthquake preparedness in our country. And next one is we can decrease this kind of accidents, loss of life of people, loss of life, loss of property we can decrease, and even we can replace these old structures in this Himalayan region now. And next one here is we can go for uniformity across this Himalayan arc. Okay, because earlier this Himalayan region comes under zone 4 and as well as zone 5, but now entire Himalayas is coming under this zone 6, so that we can implement the policies throughout this Himalayan arc evenly, uniformly. So this is the significance. Okay, see these questions guys, today I came up with 3 questions I guess. Okay, first one, see, consider the following statements regarding euthanasia in India, and it is the most probable question this time. Active euthanasia is legally permitted under Indian constitution. The passive euthanasia has been recognized by Supreme Court under Article 21. A living will allows a person to refuse life-sustaining treatment in future medical conditions. How many of the above statements are correct? First one is for sure it's wrong, because active euthanasia is not legally permissible in India. Okay, what about second one? Second one is right. Third one, do you know about living will? What is living will? Before dying itself, they will be writing Vilunama in Telugu. Yes, do you know this Vilunama? Have you heard this? In that they will be telling about after their death to whom the property will go, who will be the next successor, everything they'll write, right? So if they are having a living will related to this life sustaining treatment, I don't want this thing. If they are writing that thing in their living will, that will be accepted. So these 2 statements are right. So answer is B2 only. Okay, see this next question. Consider the following statements regarding elephants in India. First one, the Asian elephant is listed under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4, under which elephant is listed? See here, Schedule 1 animals receive highest level of legal protection in India. Next one, elephants are classified as vermin under Wildlife Protection Act. What is meaning of vermin? That can be killed. Yes, if that animal is causing any harm, that can be killed. Is elephant can be killed? No. So it is not listed as vermin. Actually, it is listed in Schedule 1. If any animal is listed in Schedule 1, that will be getting ultimate highest protection. So because of that only, we have Project Elephant. So what are the projects related to the elephants are there? That comes under Schedule 1 only. What is the answer? 1 and 2 only. Okay, see this next question. With reference to right to life in India, consider the following statements. First one, Article 21 guarantees protection of life and personal liberty. Second statement is this right is available only to citizens of India. Third one, the Supreme Court has interpreted Article 21 to include the right to live with dignity. Which of the above statements are correct? What about first one? What about second one? So which articles are available only to Indians? Number please. I'll write here, you have to remember that. 15, 16, 19, 29, 30. So these are the 5 articles which are available to only citizens of India. Okay, Article 21 is available for citizens and as well as foreigners. Okay, everyone has this Article 21. So this second statement is wrong. And this Supreme Court said that yes, Article 21 includes right to live with dignity, right to die, right to environment which is free of pollution, right to sleep. Everyone comes under Article 21, right to privacy. Option based right answer. Okay, so here whenever you are reading about this statements related to polity, please see this extreme only. Okay, that's all guys. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching, and if you like this class, please do hit the like button and please do share this class to your friends, and do subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy. And if you want to start your UPSC preparation, we are going to launch a new batch for GS Prelims cum Mains Foundation in this week itself guys. And if you are interested, please do call us on this number 8074765513. and we are providing this course both on online and offline, guys. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.